Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vinnie, and I'm here today to talk about leveraging the real time data and actionable insights specifically for the financial sector. So, as we've been talking about today, about leveraging data for the various industries, we all know that financial markets are among the fastest moving markets around. Perhaps people and organizations today need to know about where their money is, what is it doing for them, and whether it's at risk on a moment by moment basis. Yet, what we see today is banks today often have been outmoded in the internal systems, and that it's very hard to go ahead and make it have data to move quickly to across the organizations. Now, this lack of data flow, this lack of the rate at which you leverage the data insights is very compelling, and we need to work towards that. So, these are the questions that I'm going to answer in my today's talk about. So, briefly talking about that, in today's talk, we'll discuss through the growing importance of the real time data flows and their impact on the business, specifically for the financial sector. And then from there, we'll move on to the financial services, how financial organizations can move with all the due speed towards that real time data flows needed to empower and enhance the customer experience all across. That's what we'll be talking about. So as we go ahead and talk about that, let me kick off the conversation talking about the recent trends, the forecasts on real-time data and analytics, and how that has been disrupting the global value chain today. So as we know today, like as the global connectivity grows, data is being generated and collected exponentially. What we can say is like a growing portion of the data today is real-time information. If I don't go far across, but this is a number by IDC. All these numbers I have on the screen are from IDC. So according to IDC, by 2025, nearly 30% of the so-called global data sphere will be real-time information. And even stunning fact from there is that the global streaming analytics market size, we are today in 2020, we're sitting at $12.5 billion. And we're expected to be at $38.6 billion by 2025. And this happens at a compound annual growth rate of 25.2% in this forecasted period. And these are not the only numbers. Like artificial intelligence, big data analytics, Internet of Things, like talk about these technologies today. And they are all creating possibilities for better interpretation and understanding of the user behaviors. So all these things told, we are supposed to be having like 150 billion devices that will be connected across the globe by 2025. And most of these devices will be creating real-time data. As IDC says, the global data sphere is then expected to grow from, we are today sitting at 23 zettabytes, and we are looking at 170 zettabytes by 2025. And just as a FYI here, 1 zettabyte is equivalent to a trillion gigabytes. That's not a small number. So that's where we are heading towards with the real-time data. So before I go ahead and dig into the details about what is it that we're doing with real-time data, how we want to go ahead and leverage the real-time data for our actionable insights, let's have a common understanding of what is real-time data and why does it matter so much to the banks. So when I talk about what actually is real-time data, talking about the data which is available for use immediately to draw actionable insights from. Like we are not talking about historical data. We are not talking about some data which is happening after, which we are having with a latency of say, a couple of minutes or hours. We're talking about data which is available for use immediately to draw actionable insights from. And to top that up, we're talking about insights on top of that, some complex calculations on top of that, real-time analytics. Now, real-time analytics has become very vital to improve the customer experience today. We want to have a very recommended journey, a very targeted approach, a personalized approach for all our customers, because we want to increase the market reach, optimize our budget spend, and enhance all our business processes while giving that steep increase to our customer experience. And we want to do this by eliminating all the anomalies. And all these things eventually translate into improved revenue for all businesses, financial sector not being left far behind. So that is what real-time data is. Now, we do understand that the real-time data is very important and a key component of where we are heading towards with our business today. So with data being a key component, the big question today for banks and the financial institutions is how and when do banks leverage real-time data versus the near real-time data. There's a big difference in there. Like there should be specific use cases, specific scenarios where each one of it brings its own value. We want to go ahead and look at that. So talking of real-time data, real-time data is the data which is actually being leveraged for evaluating data in flight today. When I mean in flight, I want to say we want to have immediate intervention. Like we have very low latency with the real-time data. You can actually quantify that in terms of seconds or maybe even sub-seconds. So this is the time frame we are looking for immediate decision making. With that latency, with that immediate intervention, with that small scale like seconds or sub-seconds, we're looking for immediate decision making so that we can be having that very interactive conversation, a very engaged customer journey with our customers. That's one big factor why we need real-time data today. And this is what leads to our engaged customer journey. We are having innumerous data points throughout our customer journey. That's a big important point that we have with the banking industry. We have plethora of data points that we can touch upon with our customers, and we can bring in that personalized approach at all those data points. That's the value of real-time data for the financial services and across and all the banking sector. But real-time data does have some drawbacks to it. Like when I say some drawbacks to it, like talking of the real-time data, we can't summarize all the data. Like in the real-time scenarios, if we are doing any aggregations, if we are doing any aggregations at all, we are doing that at a very small window range. Like we are doing that at very small windows of time. We are not capturing those. If we are not capturing those individual data points for aggregation, that's a big drawback. Like if depending on our use case, we might want to go ahead and do that for big aggregations. That's something we cannot be going ahead and doing for real-time data. And besides that, when I say lack of persistence over here, what I mean to say is another disadvantage of real-time data is that streaming data isn't persisted for deeper analysis. So we are not persisting it for deeper analysis. And last but not the least, talking of the calculations we do on it. From a calculation standpoint, it can be very difficult to add any type of even moderately complex logic to our real-time data. It's very difficult to do a complex averaging data calculation on top of a real-time data. That sometimes brings a hurdle in the ways we want to go ahead and analyze our data. Because even moderately complex calculation logic becomes difficult to do in a real-time scenario. So we have our own use cases, but we have our certain drawbacks. So talking of these drawbacks, what is it that we do now? We don't want to go ahead and do batch. We don't want to use batch data. We don't want to use historical data. We still want real-time updates, but we cannot be actually doing the real-time analytics like in actual sense real time. So does near real-time data processing help us achieve that having up-to-date data available as a priority that we want to have, but still get rid of these cons, the drawbacks that I talked about? So talking of the near real-time data, near real-time data is the data which is what we use for having up-to-date data. Like we have the ability to persist the data. On top of it, we can even go ahead and combine it with some historical data. We can have a larger time window that we want to go ahead and have the aggregations over. And we can, even on top of that, like say, for example, you might have heard of it, we want to refresh the data for our customers at a very fast rate. It's not happening like instantaneously, but at a very fast rate. That's something which near real-time data actually permits. But still, near real-time data also has some drawbacks. Talking about the latency, like as I said, in real-time data, it's just some seconds or sub-seconds, that's it. In near real-time data, we're talking of a couple of minutes. And if you see it over here, like I've mentioned historical view as a advantage as well as a drawback. So when I mention historical view as a drawback, what I mean by that is we don't have the capability to go ahead and have some immediate intervention. Say for immediate recommendations, I'll go ahead and talk more about these in the coming slides. But we don't have the capability to have some immediate intervention with our customers to go ahead and make some recommendations on the next best actions or having a personalized approach for our customers. That's what we miss here. So having talked about the real-time data, having talked about the near real-time data, in summary, like if I talk about choosing the right option, so the choosing the right option depends on your use cases ultimately. Either way, whatever way we go, solutions exist to address these scenarios today at a very reasonably optimal cost. But what we need to understand is the use cases of real time versus near real time data. It depends largely on the cost of that delayed action. What is it that we can actually go ahead and accommodate? So having to choose the right option from the real time to near real time data, how do we go ahead? The question now is, how do we go ahead and put this data into action in real time so that we can go ahead and capture customers' attention with a critical moment which spurs them to act on that? That's the question here. And that's what brings us with the real time banking. As I just mentioned, as bankers, we have a plethora of real-time data touchpoints that we have at our disposal. We can touch on and bring that actionable insights, bring that personalized experience to our customers. That's what real-time banking brings. So if it's that simple, why are we not doing it? Like, what is it? What is it? What are the drawbacks? Why isn't the financial services model today based on these real-time data insights? That's the question here today. So if we talk about the traditional banking system, if we talk about the traditional banking system, how it is based upon, we have been traditionally we have been using some legacy solutions. And if I talk about some legacy solutions, we have had a lot of challenges associated with it. Talk of increasing security risk, talk of some inefficient in the operational processes, talk of some incompatibility with the new technology, maybe some having some single points of failures, or even some lack of information. These are just only a few drawbacks, a few challenges that we see with the traditional legacy systems. So we want to go ahead and move to the next stage. We know that the real-time data and the real-time analytics is the solution to have that to reach that pinnacle of success for the banking and the financial sector. The question is, how can banks today actually go ahead and leverage a modern reference architecture for that engaged customer relationship by using this data in real time and near real time, depending upon the use cases? That's the question for today. So the answer in a very simple term, in one-liner answer is, banks today need to reach their customers in micro moments, not in moments, not in days, not in weeks, but in micro moments. Because what customers demand today is, customers today need a unique real-time experience that customers can remember over the journey, that customers can value over the time. Because we want to help our customers with decision making. We want to help our customers with every next best action that they want to take with the financial services, the products, the next best moves that they want to go ahead and take with their money, and they want to make sure that they are actually going ahead and encompassing. They're not going ahead and ascertaining any risks associated with their money. That's what we want to go ahead and do today. So that's what we want to go ahead and do today. But we said real-time data is the answer to that. So now we know the problem, we know the answer. Now the thing is, how and what do we do? So how can the real-time data be a differentiator here to help us achieve this goal? So talking about real-time data, we all understand that we at banks have a plethora of data points. We have very rich data sources. We have all our customers' engaged journeys. So what do we actually go ahead and do so that we can be having success in our customer relationship? We can be having success in our operational processes. We can be delivering those personalized services. Today, we all know that banks are heavily leveraging machine learning and other data science capabilities to go ahead and deliver personalized services. And these personalized services are based on customer profiles, using the data that we are having for customer satisfaction, their demographics that we have, their better understanding their needs, their requirements, maybe having some interest graphs with respect to the people of the same kind. So we are going ahead and leveraging every possible option, every possible insight that we can be using from customer information. That's the first thing. Secondly, we want to go ahead and have those deep insights from all those information. We want to go ahead and accurately cluster the customers so that we could be actually bringing up the next best action from a very accurately broad purpose. Like we want to do it talking in terms of some data science terms, we want to go ahead and do some classification. On the top of it, we want to go ahead and do some regression even so that we can be having accurate results on our customers table. And we want to do all of this not at a human pace. We want to do it all of this not at a latency of a days or weeks. We want to provide robo-advisor services to help our customers with investment decisions, offering peer-to-peer comparisons or customer-specific portfolio advices at a moment. We want those micro movements to be valuable to our customers. That's what we do. And while we do this, how are banks today? Like we are doing all of this, but what is it that we are doing in terms of services to meet our customer needs? So first of all, what we are going ahead and doing is like I'll talk about machine learning, AI, and how we are leveraging technologies today. But for the time being a bit technology agnostic, we are looking at modernizing and integrating the real-time analytics for enriching our personalized experience. And we are doing this by building a best-in-class data-driven banks. Like we are building best-in-class data-driven banks so that we can be leveraging every data insight we have from our customers with the power of machine learning. And like the technology here is the driver. Technology here is the driver. We can't segregate data and technology. Data is the value, and technology is the driver, which we have to go ahead and draw the insights from this. So talking of what is it that the data does for it? What are the insights do for it? First of all, talking in terms of the business outcomes, talking in terms of customer centricity. We want to make sure that we provide early warnings, early predictions using all the liability analysis that we have on our tables so that we can be going ahead and optimizing the risks and controls and business processes. That's one thing. And while we are predicting the risk of churn for our individual customers, we also go ahead and recommend proactively so that our customers can have the dearth of information very finely brought to their table, draw the insights from. And this is not the only thing. Besides this, we are looking ahead at automating the business processes and improving the operational efficiency as well. Because let me just give out the examples on the top of my head. If I'm looking at, say, some customer complaint management, or say I'm looking at some customer credit risk evaluations, like we are approving some credit cards, so I'm looking at the customer credit risk evaluations. So in all those scenarios, what we are doing is we are going ahead and automating our business processes so that the right data is being used at the right time, and we are improving our operational efficiency as well. So the customer experience is not the only thing that we are saying. As I said in the very beginning, these are all drivers towards increasing our revenue. So customer efficiency, customer engagement is one side, but we are also improving the overall business operational efficiency along with it. That's the value that we look at from real-time data. So having talked about the real-time data, having talked about why banks need it, having talked about what challenges does it help us overcome. Now, the big hype in today's world, AI. So how is AI impacting the ways in which real-time data can be leveraged? $1 million question, right? A question that everybody wants to be answered. So that's one of the most frequently asked questions today, and the answers that are actually going ahead and revolutionizing the industry today. So when I talk about the AI's impact on real-time data, we are, as I said, we are still on the same mission. Our goal still stays the same. We are building a best-in-class data-driven bank. But the ways in which we are leveraging AI for what we have not been able to do so far is we want to go ahead and integrate our customer data, not just from the very simply available data sources, but from all data sources. You don't just talk about the customer's account. You don't just talk about the customer's friend's account. You talk about all the demographics. You talk about you talk about the geolocations. You talk about the comprehensive profiles. That's what we want to go ahead and talk about. So how is AI enabling us to go ahead and leverage the customer data from all these multiple sources so that we can be creating comprehensive profiles for our customers and leverage the insights from there? That's the million-dollar question that we have here. So the answer to that is hyper-personalization, a term that I'm sure that not everybody must have heard, because this is something that Gartner introduced not very lately. So when we talk about hyper-personalization, what does it mean? Hyper-personalization is actually an approach that takes personalization even a step further from where we know of it today. Hyper-personalization takes advantage of the real-time data and the cutting-edge technologies, AI not to mention that, to deliver even more relevant products or services information to our users. That's what hyper-personalization is. So, but how do we leverage it? Good thought. That's a very good thought, hyper-personalization. The value, how do we do it? What value does it bring to us? So as a banker, what are the some ways in which we at banks can be structuring the big data architecture to enable this more connected experience using hyper-personalization? That's the question here. So talking of that, I've just put down 3 big bullets, and I'll be talking about the tools or the techniques in more detail in the slides to come. So talking of uncluttered shopping experience for my customers. So with that, what I imply is we want to go ahead and make it sure that the offers that we're having at bank, the offers or the services that we're having at bank, we want it to be very much accessible to our customers. And in simple terms, if I have to say, I want to go ahead and create an uncluttered shopping experience for all our customers. That's the first thing, the foremost, most primary thing that we want to go ahead and do with hyper personalization. Second thing, talking of the positive impact, second thing, we want to go ahead and eliminate the problems that our customers face today. The problems that our customer face today with a choice overload. Like our customers have a herd of choices in front of them. We want to take off the problems with that, because we want to give our customers a very personalized approach so that they can be getting rid of that overload and exactly know what is the right way for them to go ahead and proceed. That's the second best thing. And last but not the least, we want to give them a personalized approach. We want them to get rid of all the problems, but also we want to go ahead and address the customer pain points with a very targeted approach. We don't want to go ahead and lay down common scenarios that if customers encounter this, this is the way to go. But a very targeted approach for every customer, for every pain or every issue that the customer is facing. So having talked about the uses, talk about the tools, Vinnie. What are the ways that banks today are delivering this hyper-personalization? That's the big value we bring to the table. So talking of that, these are just few that I had on the top of my mind. I have listed it out here. We have lots more. A list continues endlessly. So as you see on the screen here, we talk about behavioral personalization. So what does behavioral personalization do? It actually determines, just to put in a simple language, the visitors or my customers' interest in the site, which allows customizing the user experiences during the future visits. That's what behavioral personalization refers to. Next, I mentioned over here is search phrase tracking. So what I want to do with search phrase tracking, I want to go ahead and analyze the search phrases which are being used by my visitors so that or we can be going ahead and customizing the user experience during the future visits. That's the search phase. Talking about the visit counts. So this type of personalization is based on showing different content to the new visitors, to the returning visitors, or to the visitors who have actually visited the site multiple times. We want to go ahead and customize the content accordingly for all these different type of visitors. Talking of performance functions, when a visitor completes a task, say such as maybe a visitor went ahead and had a deposit application, or maybe a visitor used a calculator to calculate something, some rate of interest or something, I want to make sure that we have the tools which will track this and personalize their future experience by displaying relevant support and marketing content that the customer needs in the days to come. Okay, that's the performance function. Referrals, we all very well understand what I mean by referrals over here. We want that the tool should be customizing the experience accordingly as the customers need it. Talking of geolocations, we want to have these recommendations based on the city, the metro area, or the state, and what the information that we have available for there. We want every next action, all the content that the customers are viewing, the way that the customers are seeing, everything should be very customized to customers' preferences, to what the customers want to see. We want our customers to see what they actually want to see. That's the simplest way I can put it in. So these are what the customer, what we want to go ahead and do and leverage the hyper personalization with. So how can banks today or deliver this real time, contextual, and hyper relevant interactions so that we can be addressing the evolving demands of our customers today? Talking of that, so this is like a 15 slides presentation that I have put down in one slide. Over here, I'm showing the life cycle, end-to-end life cycle, the AI-enabled life cycle that's for our retail customers. So we go ahead and from the intelligence that we go ahead and leverage, the personalized approach that we provide, the omni-channel methodology that we leverage, and we provide banking and beyond banking every way to our customers. So as you see over here, like we are providing seamless integration with the non-banking apps as well, so that the customers can go ahead and leverage it, draw the data, actionable insights from anywhere, and the intelligence is at their desk to go ahead and use it from. Then facial recognition. We want to make sure our customers have all the convenience at their table. Facial recognition for frictionless payments. We want to have analytics based personalized offers. As I just said, we want to make sure what our customers are interested in, which sites are my customers viewing, what content is my customer reading. After I do some clustering, what are similar customers interested in? So accordingly, I want to have that analytics based personalized offers to my customers so that I can be having a higher probability of my customers accepting those offers. Then personalized money management solutions and aggregating the overview of the daily activities so that the customer doesn't have to go ahead and hover around the sites looking around for what he did all the day long and what he has actually leveraged the bank's policies and services for. And finally, lastly but not the leastly, savings and investment recommendations which the customer is actually intended for. So this is a complete AI banking lifecycle for my retail customers. But the things don't stop there. Our retail customers are happy. We went ahead and solved everything for them. How about our enterprise customers? We are talking to small to medium sized customers as well. So this is once again, a complete deck put in one slide here. How do I leverage AI for the banking with our small to medium sized enterprise customers? Once again, we want to go ahead and provide customized lending solution. We want to go ahead and have a seamless inventory or receivables management solution for my enterprise customers. We want to have all the support that they need, and we want to have this serviced by an AI-powered visual advisor so that they don't ever feel left alone. That's the value of AI that it brings to the table. So now that we understand how is AI actually going ahead and helping us strengthen this journey for our customers, the question is not AI is not just by itself. Like there were days about robotic process automation, there were days about the rules-based automation, but today that we are in the AI world, how does robotic process automation coupled with cognitive computing, along with the advanced analytics, workforce orchestration not left behind, together all these things, how do they drive the value proposition for the banking customers, financial sector today? So this is a very this is a bit of a like a content heavy slide, but it says a lot. When I say I want to go ahead and combine cloud and edge for real time automation, what do we want to go ahead and do? As as architects, as the leaders for the financial sector, we want to make it sure that we enable hybrid architectures for our customers so that they can be leveraging real-time analytics capabilities, not any specific point. We want to bring those capabilities closer to where the data is. That's the simplest way I can say it. We want to bring those real-time analytics capabilities closer to where our data is sitting today. And I've shown here the life cycle, how we have grown to it today. As I just mentioned, we had some macro applications. There was a time we had some rule-based workflows. We had some pattern recognitions, like it has been sitting for a while there. But today, we are in a different phase. We are in a phase of intelligent automation. Intelligent automation is robotic process automation, which leverages the power of AI towards it. That's where we are heading towards. So where we are today and how are the banks actually embracing this digital transformation when I talk about intelligent automation? So I'm almost done, and I'll be just talking about just finish winding up my content with as to where we are heading towards with that. So talking of how is the journey looking like. We're having our customers in the different phases of a life cycle, from planning to scaling, from pilots to implementation, and actually fueling it all by real-time data. So this is where I mentioned how it is helping us accelerate the digitization in different scenarios, from customer services to fraud detection. Talk of New Yorker, all the banking people, all the banking minds sitting over here must be very much aware of these things here. So that's where we are looking towards here. So with that, I'll move over to the Q&A, and over to you, Dina.
Thank you, Vinny, so much for such a fantastic, fantastic presentation. We did actually receive a few questions, but I think we only have time for one, if you don't mind. And maybe if you are sticking around, maybe people can reach out to you directly.
Sure.
So let me take this one. How does privacy concern factor into all of this?
That's a great question. That's a big thing that I should wanted to cover, but due to time I could not cover here. So privacy content is a main one of the main concerns, especially not for any industry. It is definitely for any industry, but especially when it comes to financial sector. So when I talk about privacy concerns, so we want to go ahead and maybe tokenize our data. We want to encrypt our data. We want to mask our data. So depending upon, as I said, real-time data or near real-time data, we want to go ahead and leverage that according to the use case. Similarly, for privacy concerns, we want to go ahead and leverage that hybrid architecture so that we can be having our most sensitive data, the PI information, sitting on premises, but still leveraging the cloud capabilities by using the encryption capabilities that we are having available on cloud today or in-house today. Today, all the cloud providers talk of those big gigs in the industry today. They all provide a very simulated effects with that close conjunction with the on-premises and hybrid. So we can be leveraging those capabilities and managing our keys on, like, bring your own keys. Old concept now. It's hold your own key. That's a new concept now. So this is all happening in the favor of the financial sector. It's all as we want to go ahead and encompass it and maybe ascertain or use it for our own sector.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vinny. I hope people can reach out to you directly, because that was such a fantastic presentation with so many good insights. And thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure talking. Thanks.